Welcome to special episode of Coffee Conversation Show, Sri Shakti, powered by the Emerging India Forum, TEIF, Lions Club of Mumbai Shining, India Business Group IBG, Indian Chamber of International Business ICIB, and our tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Today's topic is very interesting: unlocking the power of developmental disabilities. Our host for today is myself, Amirr Virani, tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, co-host Mansoor Thakral, operation in charge at Prime Infotech Solution. So we have with us a wonderful guest, Dr. Tatyana Dias. She is CEO of Veruschka Foundation. The tagline of Veruschka Foundation is changing lives through empowerment. Through their programs and activities, they intend to change this and offer a platform that not only skills but empowers them to lead a dignified life of independence. They are focused on culinary arts and inclusivity. So, friends, I'd like to inform you we have a coffee conversation in three parts. First part is a professional round, second is a personal round, and the third round is a surprise round, that is rapid fire round. So let's begin our coffee conversation. I'm handing over to Mansoor Thakral to start with the professional round.
Could you tell us about the concept behind this venture and how it overall aligns with your vision?
So for us at Veruschka Foundation, we believe in accepting, celebrating and empowering individuals with developmental disabilities and disabilities in general, including marginalized women and other communities. For us in the area of skill development and training that we have started in 2017, it was very necessary that besides training, we provided an outcome for our beneficiaries. And that outcome for most individuals like you and me is having a job, having an identity. And for us, we needed that particular aspect to be covered and not just training. So that, individuals who are trained are not simply homebound and, don't do anything with that training going forward. And so keeping that in mind, we set up a Bite Better so that the individuals who we train, and in this case, individuals with disabilities, if they can't be placed in the mainstream food industry, which we attempt to do at the first instance, it doesn't happen. We felt that we needed to have an answer for all those families and all those trainees of us, where they had a safe environment to work, which was run by us.
Okay.
So a Bite Better is our in-house brand, which we are setting up as a for-profit social enterprise, where we offer artisanal, gluten-free sweets and savories, which are powered by millets and ancient grains. And so employment is what we were going for, and it aligns with our entire mission because that's what we wanted to do in the first place: train and have an outcome.
Okay.
So that there was some livelihood involved.
All right. Our audiences would really like to know, how did you come up with the name A Better Best?
So we had a number of brainstorming sessions, and we wanted it to be a name which had correlation between health as well as the fact that it is being made by an inclusive team of persons with and without disabilities. So we are working with professional chefs, as well as at the same time we are working with our beneficiaries that have disabilities. And so a Bite Better is that while you're taking that bite, it's not only better for you, but you're also contributing to livelihood to a marginalized community. And that's how we came up with a Bite Better.
So when you short form, it comes as ABB.
ABB, yes.
It sounds more like a calcium pill that you take it up,
That's actually, that would work to our advantage, I think, if it's a calcium pill, because I think, when you're working with millets, like for example, ragi, it's very high in calcium.
Right.
So I think that would work.
ABB.
Yeah, ABB. Definitely.
Okay, so you have held various roles in the professional journey of like a postdoctoral research at University of Cambridge and the current position as CEO. How have all these experiences shaped your perspective when you're working with disabled children, or trying to build a business right now?
So my journey started with my sister Verushka, and that was my first insight into the world of disability, understanding her being on the autistic spectrum, the challenges that me and my family had to overcome, whether it was our professional careers, whether it was fulfilling Verushka's needs. And I think that is what fueled me to take up neurobiology as my profession. That's how I trained as a neurobiologist. And for the longest time, I felt in some naive way that the work that I was doing would help me to find a cure. And I think most people who end up wanting to become scientists think like that.
Right.
But I think after I entered research, I realized that it was a very slow process. It's like a drop in the ocean effect. And I felt that I needed to help somebody and it needed to be fast. But by the time I got to that point, like the first person obviously I would have helped was my sister. But by the time I got to that stage, unfortunately my sister passed away. So for me, I needed to take a step back and think, okay, I've worked in the research side of things. I know, what causes what, more or less, where the studies are ongoing, where we know some information about disability. But the fact of the matter is, even as a scientist, while I was giving talks, what I would hear from family members is, this is all well and good, but then what do I do with my child now? And I think that question for me became very important. I had always wanted to do work which was like, have once you have a question, you find an answer. But then once you have the answer, there must be an outcome to it. There must be some application. And I felt that research was not giving me that kind of satisfaction. And once Verushka was gone, I felt I needed to do this. I needed to ensure that I was fulfilling, the challenges that we had as a family. I was fulfilling at least some kind of, putting some help in place for families like mine.
Okay.
So I feel that is what
It's like most of our audiences who will be watching this episode later may have something like, when you were coping up with the loss of Verushka, how were you able to like get that strength, to put everything together, start Veruschka Foundation? How did all that just come about after having such a grieving loss? How did you get the strength to start all this?
So it's a very interesting question because I feel that for me as an individual, right from the beginning, my sister has been my identity, and I feel she was my purpose. She was my aim, and once she was gone, I felt like she would be a was, and I did not know what to do with my life. To be very honest, it was completely dark, as it was even for my folks. But the one thing that I felt that kept me going was her. So if I had to do anything with my life, what I had done right up till this stage and what I would do going forward is to keep her memory alive. And I think that is from where I drew the strength, that the crying was totally useless because you still felt hollow after you had cried and you had a good proper cry. Talking to people about it made it worse. So I felt the only way was doing something in her memory, doing something in her name, and making sure that whatever we do it positively. So, in the foundation, we are very positive, and this is why we've picked the culinary arts, because food brings people together. It's positive. Food is essentially surrounds our life. So, we felt that if we did anything, it should be something positive. And I think that is what is keeping me going, and seeing, our trainees every day, our assistant chefs, make a cup of coffee for you, and seeing them smile and feel happy that they were able to do something is what I, continue drawing my strength from. And that is why we wake up every morning to do all of this.
As you mentioned right now about like talking about it makes you cry. So when such certain circumstances come to you, how do you separate the personal and the professional?
Yeah,
If I have to ask you about that.
Yeah. So that's also a very interesting question, because sometimes to dissociate becomes very hard between personal and professional. The only thing that I can say is that, I leave the personal at home, uh, and I come to work thinking that we still, despite the challenges of having a successful career in science, giving that up, wanting to do something in this space and setting up a not for profit, and now thinking of setting up a for profit, the challenges are immense. We had to learn how to set up an NGO. Now we're learning how to do business. So we're busy as it is, and the challenges keep us going. But I would say the way that I have managed to do this is to keep to keep the professional bits at work and to keep the personal things at home as far as I can. Sometimes that doesn't translate, but most of the time I try to do that.
So our audience would like to know any success story and the impact that Veruschka Foundation has brought to its beneficiaries. If you could share a few stories.
Sure. So I'll tell you the story of Dhriti to begin with.
Okay.
So she's our assistant chef currently at our institute. Dhriti came to us in 2018 and she
Okay.
trained till 2019 for about 6 months. And post that, she did another round of training. And when she came to us, she could not stand near a gas burner.
Okay.
She could barely do some chopping. When she would throw, like whenever we would tell her, okay, now we need to make a tadka, she would start the gas, she would put the oil, she would put the rye, and then when the curry leaves had to go in, it was literally 2 feet away, and she's throwing the curry leaves into the kadai. But today she has reached a point, post training and post developing all of that confidence level in her, which she had innately. She got to a point now where she's able to do these things independently. So today what we can say is that post all that training, Dhriti has interned with us successfully. She makes such amazing food that in fact she makes dal palak, which we feed to all of our guests. Okay, and besides that, she also makes a fantastic dal khichdi, which incidentally our 3-year-old son loves.
Okay.
And in fact, when I make the khichdi, it comes back, but when she makes it, it's over. Dhriti is not only she's been working with us since 2019 now. She was training and working with us.
Okay.
But she's also a national level table tennis champion, now international, having competed at the Special Olympics in Berlin. She is one of our success stories where she has got, she's overcome her disabilities to be our go-to person today. And she's also, like a guardian. She checks if we've had our water and our lunch and, etc. She looks after our well-being. And the other one I would say is Gulam. He was part of our first cohort.
Okay.
In 2017-18, and post that he was placed at Chef Sanjeev Kapoor's studio kitchen in Andheri
Alright.
West. Gulam was involved in prepping all the ingredients that are required for a shoot. So he would prep everything. Everything was set there, and then chef would come or the team would come, and they would do their videos, and so Gulam was integral to their team. He became integral. He went from not speaking much to the team having concerns as to ये लड़का कुछ बोलता नहीं है, to him talking so much that you tell him, Gulam चुप रहना, काम करो. So he went from just one school going bachu to an actual adult going to work, coming back home. He used to travel from Goregaon to Andheri. And he did this right till the pandemic. And then post the pandemic, he has been working with us.
Okay.
This year will be 2 years for him as our assistant chef here. So Gulam is also went from just making, simple omelette at home to now being very established. And he is again our go-to man. If Gulam doesn't show up, we don't know where the packaging is, we don't know where this is, we don't know where that is. With them, we feel our team is complete. And we feel that strength, that the team is at full strength now, which is something that even we did not expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your experience, like when we're talking about skill developments, how important is it like for having skill developments for any individual, and how it is like shaped people with special abilities as well as normal people?
I feel one of the main reasons why we went into skill development, having several, degrees to my name, having a title to my name. Academics is not for everybody. And academics takes you to a certain point.
Okay.
But beyond that, if you don't have skill training, you're not able to form, connections with society. You're not able to integrate fully. You're not able to have an identity. And I think this is where skill development and training actually helps, because by, especially with the differently able, they usually finish a certain grade in school. And if they can't, then they usually do what is called National Institute of Open School. They do NIOS exams. But post that, there is really no option to develop skills or life skills. And for us at the foundation, we don't believe that making handicraft items like, painting diyas or making torans, etc. It is for those who like to do it. But one glove can't fit every hand.
Right, completely.
So we feel that for those individuals that like a certain area of work, they should be given a platform to explore that, to see whether this could be a career. And once you develop that confidence and that self-esteem, once you've got that platform and that training, you will be able to translate that into having an identity. Then you will be able to integrate into society. You will be able to be a contributing member to yourself, to your family, and then, to the community. And I feel that is where, skill development and training is very much needed. So, for example, our courses at the foundation through Culinaris, which has now become our flagship program because it's India's first institute for the differently able. The courses are certified under Government of Maharashtra.
Okay.
So that gives them a certificate like you and me to say that, Dhriti has completed this and it has come from, this particular agency that we know in the country, or this particular organization. And that should help to form that confidence and have that self-esteem. And that is what we've seen with our beneficiaries.
Okay. Okay, as coming to someone like you who really has a very strong social media presence, how do you use social media as a platform to send out your message, or to like engage with other people over there?
So I feel that one of the key factors for us at the foundation is if we are to make the claim that persons with disabilities are very similar to people without disabilities, then we need to leverage whatever system the society follows or is following to make those points.
Right.
And so what we do, not only from my own personal front, but also from the foundation's channels, is to put out these messages that our beneficiaries are different, but they are not less. And I think that is the kind of messaging that we like to put out, because it has to be positive. It has to be about that here they are doing professional training, not just training and then you're placed and then you have on the job training. It's professional training which is government certified, and beyond that they are given a chance to be part of the mainstream employment industry, or they set up their own business or whatever it is that they do. To make those claims, we have to use social media in that context to push these messaging, this kind of messaging out there. So whether it's in the forms of reels, in the form of posters or creatives, and we have a group of volunteers that filter throughout the year that help us with this content. But generally this is what we utilize to do that.
But then overall, when you have students who come up to you like with a lot of special abilities and come up to you and they tell you that cooking is not for us at the start.
Yes. Sure.
And then how does that transition happen? Like when you'll actually try to explain to them this is something that you can try, how do you have the transition?
So I feel what we do through our we initially have, the process is that a parent gets in touch with us. We then have an interview with the family. So all of our courses are individualized, but it's also family centric. So we talk to the family, we talk to the individual, we figure out what is it that they like to do. But our key determining factor before they sign up to any of our programs is that they should have an interest in the culinary arts. So if their interest is elsewhere, whether it's in art, it's in IT, we usually refer them to another organization who we are aware of in the sector. But sometimes what happens is they show that interest, they want to do it. Like, I will make the chapati, but the dough you have to make and give it to me.
Okay.
So those cases, what we do is we enroll them and then we help them, get to that stage of kneading the dough, then making the chapati, and teaching them how to do it from start to finish, and working on this positive reward system, working on positive feedback, because that is what really helps
Okay.
in general. And I think that is how we tackle this particular issue of those who may not like the culinary arts and those who may show a glimmer of interest, and how we build on it.
Okay. So could you elaborate some of the culinary curriculum that you currently are running at Veruschka Foundation?
Yes, sure. So we start from everything from never having held a knife to making dips, like pesto, sauces, salads, to Indian staples like dal, sabzi, roti, Indian desserts. Students have made kheer, they have made dudhi ka halwa. And then we move on to continental, where they are taught everything from Chinese, Mexican, Italian, the key ones that they would identify when they go out in Mumbai. And then finally, we end with bakery, where
Okay.
they've been taught how to make cookies and cakes and crackers and all sorts of different bakery items, which we think that they can do independently. We try to do less complicated dishes. Because we need to avoid complex layering with our students, and so what we do is we break down every step into multiple steps.
Okay.
And so we keep simple items, because when you keep something simple, when you teach something simple and they are able to do it from start to finish on their own, that confidence builds.
Okay.
If we teach them to make something like a dal makhani, which we have done with a particular batch of students, with the others they might not be able to grasp the different layering in that dish.
Okay.
So we try to avoid things like that.
So your per batch consists of how many students?
So per batch we have around 8 students.
8 students,
We don't
okay.
go higher than that, because then what happens is learning becomes difficult, and we are also not able to give that one-to-one attention. While the student attends the programs, the supporters are also there. So the supporters could be mummy, daddy, brother, sister, uncle, auntie, dadi, nana, nani. We've had it all. Psychologists, shadow teachers, etc. So it's very important that our training gets translated to the family, because ultimately the parents and the family are with the child 24/7.
Okay.
So we believe that if they are part of our training, they will be empowered themselves to make these changes for their children.
Okay.
And they will be able to translate our training at home. And when they are at home, what we do is we also provide a home program.
Okay. So when we talk about something like, I want to address this topic, like shallow teachers, or shallow
teachers.
people who come up with the things that आपका बच्चा कुछ नहीं कर सकता,
Yes.
and everything. How do you explain to those parents that your child needs to be accepted by you first? How you help them build that confidence? Because normally it's always addressed to the parents' understanding first, and then it goes to the child. So how
Correct.
does that work out? Have you come across such cases?
Several times.
Okay.
So most of our job involves counseling the families,
Okay.
talking to the families and training them in thinking in the right approach. We
Okay.
can only guide and only be mentors, and what is right for us may be wrong for someone else. But what we try to tell them is you need to have realistic goals. Sometimes we've had families where they've come to us and said, my child can do all these different things, but then at the same time the child can't do it.
Okay.
And so the goals are totally unrealistic. In some cases, the parents come and say, my child can't do anything, and the child can make a beautiful dish. But you were too scared to give them a knife. You were too scared to let them near the gas. So, it was your inhibitions that were holding you back. So it's a lot of counseling, it's a lot of guidance. As we are training the children, we are counseling and guiding the parents, so that they are able to make the right decision for themselves and their families.
Okay.
We can't make that decision for you, but we can at least guide you and tell you that we think that this may be a strategy if you agree that this may be an approach. Or what we do is we give them 2-3 different options. Why don't you think of it in option A, B and C, and pick one, whichever one works for you and your
Okay.
family. So it's a lot of counseling, it's a lot of guidance, but keeping in mind that the parents need to have realistic goals, whether it's having no goals or whether it is having very high goals,
Okay.
or whether having very low goals. The idea is to keep it realistic.
So as you were a visiting researcher at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, has that anyway impacted your life in like understanding social issues or getting the message out?
Yeah, I think for me, I left. So I graduated from St. Xavier's College in life sciences and biochemistry, and when I left India, I left at 21,
Okay.
and I came back at 31. And my
Okay.
first job was not actually in India; it was in the United Kingdom. So I didn't really understand a lot of social, even though I understood my family unit and the social aspect of a lot of things. But I think TIFR helped me to understand the Indian context much better.
Okay.
Not only in terms of my own career at that point, but also in terms of what society in general, meant. And I think I got a taste of becoming a Mumbaikar back again, traveling by train from Andheri to Navy Nagar, taking 2.5 hours one way and then 2.5 hours coming back. So all of those things were a challenge. But I feel it helped me to understand the Indian context.
Okay.
I think that was probably missing. When I came back, I had this blue skied approach of things, of what I knew, what happened in a Western country. Whereas what problems we are dealing with in Indian society, and it's a lot. And as much as the government has been doing, they can't do it all. So and this is where I felt that there was science, there was all the social issues, and then there was disability. And to make it part of it, I felt that at some stage it needed, maybe we were the ones that could provide an answer for this.
Right. So what would be your advice to the upcoming entrepreneurs who are currently planning to like head into an unknown venture, something similar to yours?
So I would say that the advice I would give, I think, we plan and plan and plan. And I think at some point, planning works, and to a large extent, it doesn't. My plan was to take my sister away from Mumbai and from India, because she finished schooling at the age of 16 and then she was pretty much homebound. And the only way to keep her, to give her an opportunity to lead an independent life was to take her away from here, because the opportunities were not available in a cosmopolitan city like Mumbai. But having said all of that, the plans just went up in smoke when she unexpectedly passed away. So I feel, for us, when we are doing our degrees, we have an interest. We are studying, and even though for me my sister was my purpose, I feel for all, for everyone, we all have some goal in mind. Okay, I want to do this, so I want to study this, whether it's media, it's fashion, it's etc. At some point, it doesn't quite translate in the plans that you have.
Okay.
And I think that that is something that you need to go with the flow. And I think you shouldn't be afraid to take steps, because I feel if you don't really follow your heart, and you only go with your head, then I'm not sure you'd end up in the right place. So I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
There were a lot of people who told me that, are you crazy? You're a trained scientist and you're doing this, and India needs scientists and you're becoming a social worker. I mean, how is this going to help? But the point is that I knew what I needed to do.
Okay.
And so I think it's about listening to your heart, keeping your head's thoughts and minds, obviously, but going with that gut feeling. I think that is very essential.
In your opinion, what are some key factors that you are like looking forward, or what the world should look forward to, contributing towards people with disabilities? How would you like to see the world better?
That's a great question. So I think that for me, it's less about um, labels,
Okay.
because I feel human nature is such that we are very dynamic. We can do a whole lot of things, whether it's ability, whether it's interest, whether it's passion, whether it's whatever. But I feel giving them that, the ideal scenario for me is to accept them as individuals,
Okay.
to accept them as whoever they are. and to let them have a voice, because I feel this is the issue. They don't have a voice.
Okay.
And because they don't have a voice, they don't receive opportunities. So we feel that we are that voice, that by raising the voice for those who are interested in the culinary arts, we're giving them a platform to do this.
All right.
I think that is very essential. So I think for me, it is more about accepting those differences. And I'm very glad to see that now for every corporate, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI has become a mandate. Many companies are celebrating, whether it's pride, whether it is diversity, neurodiversity, whatever you want to call it. But in general, we are moving towards a more inclusive society. And I think in a country where we can accept somebody eating dosa for breakfast versus somebody eating vada pav, I think we should be okay with this. I don't think that we should have a problem.
Okay, in your advice, I would say, not in your term, but in your advice, how does one empower their work environment to become a little bit more easily accessible or more friendly towards disabled people?
So I think the first thing, as the first step for every organization that's looking to hire somebody in the differently abled space, is to accept that you want to do it.
Okay.
And it's not just a tick box. A DEI mandate hai, to mujhe tick karna hai. It should be more about the fact that you would like somebody diverse as part of your team, somebody who's thinks differently, somebody who brings a different element to your the workings of your team. So I think the first step is the want. The second step is how would you want them to integrate. So knowing the exact approach as to what they could do, whether it is data entry, whether it is commissary department, which includes chopping, whether it is bakery, etc. It's identifying those areas that I think, okay, this is an area that we could trial out,
Okay.
keeping business in mind. Obviously, we don't want people to go through losses, but then you have organizations like us that will guide you through that process.
Okay.
That will, once you decide to hire, like say for example in the commissary department, you decide to hire, we give you a trained person who will become part of your team. We come and also guide you and tell you this is how you would have to be with this particular individual. These are the things to watch out for. These are the things that you should have in place. And I think it's more about that.
Okay.
And it's about, like I said, that acceptance that you firstly want to do it. Because once you've crossed over that, then I think somebody coming with a different mindset that, oh, this individual likes this done in a particular way, you'd be okay with it. So I think that is a very key point, is about knowing a little bit about your organization, which roles you want to fulfill, and then using us who are organizations that have been working in this space for a while. We can guide you to refine that and tell you, okay, you're looking at it this way, maybe you should think of it in another way. Or we thought maybe it's, instead of commissary, it should be hospitality.
Okay.
So that is how we would guide you. And we come and do a awareness sort of talk with your employees and help you to understand what you will be getting into. So I think that is what is
That's
important.
really great advice. I hope the people watching over here take a view of that.
Yes.
All right. So guys, that comes to the end of the professional journey. We will have Mr. Lion Amirr Virani taking the personal journey with us. All right. Stay tuned.
So we had a lovely conversation about Dr. Tatyana's professional journey. So now let's hear out her personal journey, how it has been. So Tatyana, how was your childhood journey been?
So my childhood was, as far as I can remember, it was happy. I had a lot of friends, playful, lot of masti. And I think sort of growing up initially in South Bombay, and then sort of post that moving to the suburbs in Mumbai, I had more of a very diverse kind of upbringing. So when I was in South Bombay, most of my friends were either Catholics or Muslims, and passis. And when I moved to the suburbs, there were a lot of friends who came from other communities. So I felt I had a good, overall sort of understanding of not only, of community in India, but also, had a great time being a kid. And with all of this, coupled with the fact that I had, a loving family, my parents always taking me for swimming class and some other, my mom being part of the PTA, and you're taking those additional efforts to make my childhood more enriched.
Wow. So, Tatyana, I heard your husband, Rohan,
Yeah.
he is your life partner and as well as a work partner.
Yes.
So, having him in your journey at Veruschka Foundation, how has it been?
It's been an interesting blend of a lot of different emotions, I would say. Because I met Rohan when I came back to India after Verushka passed away, and we initially, connected and we were speaking. And I think having him in my life helped me to get over the darkest times. And I don't think he fully understood what he contributed in that stead. But I think just having, Rohan being an advertising professional, he knows how to sell things to you, and constantly making jokes and having a good time. I think that is what I needed at that right time. So I feel initially it was that, and then following that, getting married, and then him taking a really big decision to make my mission his is something I totally did not expect. I mean, I didn't know that this is how life would pan out, and I would be working with my partner at work, and expecting him to. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. But it's been great, and I think we complement each other quite well. He's great at operations and at numbers, and I'm good at sort of speaking to people, fundraising, and so together I think we complement what we need to do for the foundation as the promoters. So I think it's a blend of both, of personal and professional. But like I was telling Mansoor earlier, we keep the personal at home and we get the professional to work.
Wow, superb, superb. So, yeah. So, Tatyana, how is a day in your life looks like?
A day in my life involves me waking up in the morning and then getting set for the day in terms of our little boy. So, making all his tiffins that he needs to take to school, and then we drop him off at school. And then, once I get to work, it's about touching base with the team, deciding what they're doing for the day, going through a list of things that I need to do myself. While I'm doing the tiffins in the morning, I do get some time to read the papers, stay abreast with current affairs, and have that, warm water and lemon juice. I aim to do that health wise. Sometimes it goes out of the window, but some days I remember and I sit down and I do that when the boys are sleeping, and I'm alone in the hall, and I get that downtime to read something, and then the day starts. And like I said, when I get to work, touching base with the team, seeing that everybody is, we are working towards a certain thing that we've decided maybe the week prior, and then getting ahead with my day. So my day usually involves being on the phone a lot, talking to several people, writing a lot because I have to send proposals to companies for CSR or for fundraising. And in between, there are moments where I have to stop again and make another tiffin for my son. So it's juggling the roles of, being a mom as well as, running the show, and at the same time trying to organize my work between whether it's calls, whether it's writing, whether it's something else, or a meeting that I need to attend to. So I need to travel, I need to go somewhere. Sometimes we finish up early, sometimes it's late nights. It totally depends. But once I go back, then there's some downtime. Usually it ends up me wanting to watch a show, but it ends up with me and my son watching Baby Bus or Coco Melon or some other show that he wants to watch. So I'm trying to now steer it in the direction of we watch this for some time and then I get to watch what mama wants to watch. And then dinner and and then back to bed. And reading is what really helps me. So I read at least a couple of books at a time, just so that I'm engaged enough and I'm not getting bored of that one book. And that is usually what I do just before I go to bed.
Wow. So, Tatyana, how do you manage the emotional aspects of your gifted students and yourself? Because being in such a challenging field, so you're going through different emotions, they are going through different emotions. So how do you balance this?
That's an excellent question. I think for us in the foundation and with what we do, it's very necessary to keep emotions in check, whether it is our own, whether it is the staff, whether it is our students, whether it is their parents. And I think the best way that we find is to have open conversations with anybody, whether it's a staff member, whether it is our students, whether it's their families, is to have open conversations about their emotions. And as a foundation, we have also tied up with another foundation in the past, and we are looking to tie up with another organization going forward, where we have specialist counselors and psychologists who come in to have sessions where everybody opens up, everybody talks, and we are in touch with our emotions, because I feel that is one area which we just take for granted. I think that when Verushka passed away, what me and my mom and dad should have done is we should have spoken to someone, and not our family members, not my husband or not anyone else, but we should have spoken to somebody like a counselor, because I think it would have helped us to gain perspective. I think we did that on our own and it was pretty hard. So I feel the fact that there are trained professionals out there who can help you to navigate this space. We have the initial conversation, and like I said, now we're planning to get an organization on board to help us to navigate this space.
Very good. So, friends, those NGOs or professionals out there, please do connect with Dr. Tatyana to help her gifted children. Yeah. So, Tatyana, what is your childhood hobby which you have continued till now?
My childhood hobby, which I've continued till now, is I used to love telling stories when I was in the bathroom. And I think now I still do that to myself. And now I do that with my son. So we end up speaking a lot when we are, when I'm bathing him, or, usually I think it's a very silly thing, but it has continued for a very long time. Besides the fact that I've always liked to read, it's something that I have continued, and I like to swim. Initially, I was very scared of water. My parents did their due diligence by taking me for swimming classes, but I used to feel scared and then not really get into the water. But eventually, I got over it, and so whenever I get the opportunity, I love to swim.
Wow. So, Tatyana, who's the biggest supporter in life?
I think my biggest supporter in life, I feel it's, to be very honest, I think a divine supporter is Verushka, of course. But I think here on our planet, I think it's my husband, because I think he understands, different aspects to me that I think sometimes even my folks don't get, So I think Rohan for sure, because he understands the ups and downs and all the intricacies, which I think is very important. And now my son, being like a little cheerleader, mama has to go to work. And I think that's really, it's important, because I saw my mom go to work. And I'd always make it a point to tell myself that if that ever came to pass in life, that I would be a working mom. And so I really, thank my son for helping me to do all of this, because he's a very supportive young boy.
Wow. Uh, so, Tatyana, uh, describe Tatyana in one line.
In one line, um, I would say that if you had to describe me, it would be a person that is passionate, uh, that is uh, that is engaging, um, that I'm full of ideas. I can throw a lot of things, at you when it comes to brainstorming. Um, that I like to have my cup of coffee. I am a foodie. Um, the fact that I bring a different element uh, to basically the society that I am part of, and that I'm wanting to make a change. And the fact that I'm crazy enough to give up a successful career to do all of this, I think is what I could describe myself at. And I think wearing my heart on my sleeve, no matter how much I need to use my head, my heart is always there.
Wow. So, since you're a foodie, so which uh, dish is your favorite dish you can cook?
I think my favorite dish would have to be vindaloo. It's something that I learned to make the hard way in the UK. My mother used to keep telling me, "Come to the kitchen, learn how to do this." I used to tell her, "No, because Star Trek is more important," and I would not go and help her. And finally, when I went away from home, I realized the importance of my mom and how much she was trying to call me to the kitchen to do stuff. And when I was away, I felt I needed to bring back those flavors of home. And I ended up making things like our traditional Goan food, and one of them is the vindaloo. It's something that I love to do. It's something that I've done very often. I'm proud to say that I went from not knowing how to make it to make it, and to learn how to make it, to feeding people of different nationalities. And I have a count to that as well: 40 different people of different nationalities, where I hosted a party at my place before, I mean, in the UK, before coming back. So I think the Vindaloo definitely for me.
Wow. Yeah. Your favorite restaurant would like to go again and again?
Favorite restaurant, I would say, in so in the UK it was Wagamama's, which is a very famous Japanese or Asian inspired ramen bowl place, because I like Asian food a lot as well. But I would say here, I think Sammy Sosa, because I'm very biased to Mexican food. And I think their food is exceptional. So I would think yes, to go there again and again. Even the Fatty Bao is definitely one other. Again, Pan Asian. So Asian Mexican is usually what I would choose.
Wow. Okay. So, my last question for your personal journey: what advice would you give to someone who wants to start a career in social work?
This is a difficult question, because firstly, you have to get over the fact that you want to do this, going against all your gut instincts, telling you this is a bad idea. It's about accepting that you're not going to, have that kind of that you've trained in a particular area, but you've decided to do something else. That is number one, accepting that. Then I think it's about the fact that you once you've selected that you want to do this or take this line, then how do you navigate that process, whether what you're doing is right, whether it's right for you, whether it's right to set up an organization, whether it is to be an employee in an organization. I think those are all different decisions that one needs to take. And then, sort of closer to home, would be the fact that then you would not necessarily lead the life that you had before. You're not able to shop at the places that you want to shop at. Your goals in life change. And I think that if you are passionate enough to make, social work or some cause that is close to your heart. You listen to your gut, you go with it, and then all this acceptance just comes naturally. So you're okay not being able to afford, branded jeans and branded clothes and all of that, but you make do with, whatever you can afford, and the kind of lifestyle that you want to lead. But I think before you take a call, you need to think that whether this is for you. And I would say that for me, it was very important that whatever I didn't feel like a job. It was more that it was my passion that I was working on. For me, it was keeping Verushka's memory alive, and so it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like I would have done this anyways. And I think if you are a risk taker, if you like living on the edge, if not having a certain bank balance, or not being dressed in a certain way doesn't, I mean, you're not fussed by that, then I think probably you have the makings of some kind of entrepreneur, some kind of, game changer. And you have to see whether the social sector is for you. It's a wonderful world. You get to meet such interesting people who are changing lives all the time. And it's inspiring to hear their journeys. And I feel very honored that I'm part of that community. So I don't take it lightly. And I feel, even though I don't roam with a jhola and I don't wear khadi, uh, despite that, I feel it's very important that, these are things that you need to think about. But you need to do things in life that make you happy. And sometimes money and the best clothes can't buy that. So it's a call you need to take.
So, friends, this was a wonderful advice for all those upcoming social entrepreneurs, social workers, social sector professionals. You're a game changer. You're in for the risk taking. So, do understand, and you are impacting the lives of the beneficiaries. So, thank you, Tatyana, for this wonderful heart-to-heart conversation. Now, we come to the surprise rapid fire round. It will be
Okay.
very quick.
Great.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Books or movies?
Both.
Your favorite TV show?
Doogie Howser MD.
Your favorite ice cream?
Butterscotch.
Thank you. So, friends, uh, we have shot this special episode of Sri Shakti at Coffee Conversation at Veruschka Foundation. Friends, watch this episode at our YouTube channel. We have also covered behind the scenes where the little master chefs were in action cooking aloo gobi, sabzi, roti making, then making apna millet, chakli, and other activities. Do watch this episode and share your comments. Support Tatyana and Verushka Foundation in their mission to enable these gifted little master chefs. You can buy the products. They are available at different shops, also online. So thank you, friends, for watching this coffee conversation on a lovely Saturday evening over hot coffee. And we did tasted the aloo gobis and the rotis made by, and gave prizes also. And friends, tomorrow is Verushka's birthday, so happy birthday, Verushka. Let's keep Verushka's memories alive and impact the lives of these, I will say, gifted children, not special children. These are gifted children. As I've seen this episode of Pushpa Impossible, where Golu, he picks up uh, one tune and plays it. He doesn't have to ask the to play the tune again, and plays it on his basuri. And now he's gone. He's going to Switzerland to participate in international shows. So that is the beauty of giving them the opportunities, and they can give you remarkable results. So involve these gifted children in your work areas, give them opportunities, but you have to be, they will give you the results. And we are very happy to spend this lovely evening today at Veruschka Foundation. So thank you, Dr. Tatyana, for hosting this special episode at your place and uh, getting us to know the Little Master chefs and your team who work tirelessly to bring about change in their lives, in their families' lives. As we are having conversation, they work not only on children, but with the families also. Because after they go home, it is a family who has to stay with them and keep them motivated. So it's a cycle, okay, where they come here, they go back with the families, and so it is, the whole universe is getting impacted by Dr. Tatyana's little efforts and by Rohan and her full team. So thank you, friends. Stay tuned for another coffee episode. We'll bring another special guest. We'll also have special episodes like this in future where it will be somebody's workplace or in their office, bring to you some special guests who have been doing a remarkable work in their areas. So thank you, friends.